Hello, wonderful people. Welcome back to Coffee Over Apples. My name is Steph, and I am here to give you a wrap-up for the months of August and September. We are currently in Washington, D.C. I came down here for an important trip that I had to take, and also because I wanted to get a really good spot to give you guys some awesome visuals and give you a little tour of Washington, D.C. while I discuss to you all of the books that I read. Yeah, this is really late.
It could change the world. On we go.
Oh my goodness. I have to do a happy dance for this one because it's so good. This is going down as probably my favorite manga of 2020. This is the fourth volume of, it's more of an omnibus because it's the fourth volume, which includes, I think it's issues 10, 11, and 12 for Neon Genesis Evangelion. And if you haven't checked out this manga and anime and you're into sci-fi and horror, like, what have you been doing? This is my favorite sci-fi anime of all time. It's so good. And this was the kind of situation where it's like, I finished this volume thinking I was done with the series, and when it left on a cliffhanger, I was like, wait, what do you mean? And then I found out that there's actually another volume that I don't know about, and I was like, I have to get it. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to get it very soon so I can finish this series. I worked on the first part of the comparing the anime to the manga series on a video on my channel, and I'm working on the second part, but man, this is mind-blowing. I mean, it's like we have giant aliens, giant robots, mutations, clones, action, government conspiracies. I mean, like, what don't you want? It's an apocalypse. It's everything. If you love dark sci-fi, this is the way to go. I highly, highly suggest it. And I need to rewatch the anime because there is another movie coming out in the very near future that I have to watch. It's supposed to be the last installment of the movie franchise. So check out Neon Genesis if you have not already. You are going to love it. I highly suggest it. But this volume was just so action-packed, and every volume of this manga I've given 5 stars. So I mean, what more do you want? It's everything that I'm asking for. Alright, so going back to the beginning of August, man, it's been a while. First book I read was My Little Pony comic, and you're probably wondering, Steph, why the heck did you read a My Little Pony comic? You're gonna have to go watch my video with my buddy talking about how My Little Pony possibly ripped off Sailor Moon, and I'll leave the link to that video below. But in August, I also read Carmilla, which is a classic Victorian horror story, and it's supposed to be a sapphic romance, but I have to say that based on all of the popular stories around Carmilla, I was expecting more romance, and I don't feel like we got much of it. It was very eerie, and it was, I would say it was decent. I ended up giving this, I believe, 2.5 stars, simply just because I wanted more from it. It's not a bad book. I would say read it and make your own opinions. I listened to it as an audiobook, but I might reread this physically to see if I get a completely different experience. Let's talk about Dune. I did an entire reading vlog dedicated to Dune, and I sadly only gave this 2.5 stars, I want to say, but it wasn't bad. And reflecting on it more, I kind of want to do a reread with this because I thought The story itself was really good. It's just that the writing did not age well over time. I'm really excited to see the movie that comes out. It has some really cool sci-fi aspects to it. We're on another planet. I mean, there's giant worms, which is the whole reason that I got into it. There's a lot of political intrigue. I kept having a problem with the main character's name, which I'm hearing a lot of other people complain about, because the main characters' names were so boring, but we have all this world building, and then there's even a dictionary in the back of the book that helps you understand the terminology of this world. It's really well thought out in my opinion. It's just that the writing style wasn't for me, so I'm considering doing a reread of this and seeing if going back into it with a new understanding and perspective will maybe raise the bar on my Goodreads rating for this book. But if you haven't read it, I do suggest checking it out. Next, I read Anne of Avonlea, and this is the second book in the Anne of Green Gables series, and this series is following her throughout her entire life. So this second book is after she's gone to college and now she's working as a teacher, and it's really putting her in positions where she questions her values, and I'm loving that. I'm loving the wholesomeness of this series. It's supposed to be a YA, but a YA that was written almost 100 years ago is completely different from a YA that you would read now. It's just so sweet, so wholesome. She has relationships with different characters in the book who have different values from her, and that's been the biggest takeaway that I've had from this series, that you can have relationships with people that have different values from you and still learn different ways that you can respect each other and communicate with each other that respects each other's differentiating opinions. So I definitely suggest that you pick this up if you're in the mood for a classic YA. It's very good and I highly recommend it. Okay, so next I read the Epic of Gilgamesh, and I read this as part of Eroticathon. And if you don't know, Gilgamesh is the oldest story known to man. I believe that this story is like 4,000 years old. It's been recovered off of a tablet. And I ended up giving this, I want to say 2 stars. And this is not the fault of the translator. It was well translated. They did the best that they could to recover these stories. However, man, it was just like, why are we doing this? I mean, I understand that these stories were written to bring hope to their people and respect to their gods and restore order, because stories were used as a form of policing thousands of years ago. But yeah, it was just so misogynistic. It was disgusting, and that is not the fault of the author. I suggest that everyone reads this. It is an important part of history. It was overly sexualized for no reason. It wasn't a good time, but you know, that's just my opinion. Make your own opinion. It's all good. It's all good, but check it out if you're interested. So I got Odessa as an arc off of NetGalley, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed this. I think I ended up giving it like a 3.5 stars, just because it was really well done. The entire comic is in monochromatic, so it's all on a red, rouge, and black and white color scale, and we're following these children as it's the apocalypse, and they're running around trying to find their mom. They went on a journey on their own. I didn't approve of the children going on this journey, but I understand the reasons why they did it. It seemed a little deus ex machina in my opinion, but you know, I guess that's just my taste. Like, I don't like that divine intervention unless it actually is 100% necessary. But there's supposed to be a couple volumes in this, and I'd say it's not bad. It has action. I felt compelled to sympathize with the characters, and also the apocalypse itself is pretty interesting, and the kind of mutations that are going on. So I am interested in continuing this series. You know, you are rooting for the main characters, so I enjoyed that aspect of it. This has already been released by this time, so if you want to see my full review, I guess you can go check out my Goodreads review that I posted, and the links to my Goodreads are on the banner icon on my home screen of this channel. So yeah, check out Odessa. I also read Aurora Rising as part of a reading challenge called Mystery Date with a Book with the channel Mystery Date with a Book, and it was really cool because we recommended each other books, and it was kind of like a blind date experiment with a book. And if you want to see how the book that I recommended turned out, you can go check out Mystery Date with the Book's channel. But I was recommended Aurora Rising, and I think I ended up giving this about 3.5 stars. Maybe 4 stars, because it was really fun. I mean, it's a YA, and if you know me, I don't tend to read a lot of YA, but this was really fun to read. It did have some tropes that I wasn't so fond of, like masquerade balls, conveniently parties being at the same time that someone needs to infiltrate something. I mean, that's like a common trope, and I'm not a huge fan of it. Also, one of the qualms that I had with it was that I wanted all the characters to be aged up by like 5 to 10 years, because a lot of them were 16, 17, and 18, and making life choices and had enough experience for like as if they were between the age of 25 to 30. So it really felt like this book was leveled down in order to fit on a YA shelf. But it was alright. I had fun with it. It was a fun story. I do want to read the second one just to kind of see where it goes. The science fiction portion of the book was really interesting, as far as like time travel and aliens, and the building of the world was really exciting. So I do recommend this if you want to have a fun time, and I do plan on picking up the second volume from my library in hopefully the very near future. Oh my gosh, you guys, Just Mercy was so powerful. This might go down as one of my favorite books of 2020 because, oh my goodness, I cried 5 times reading this, and I did a reading vlog about it already on my channel, but I'm also going to be doing a speed drawing review for it because there were just so many important points in this book. And if you're not familiar with this story, it is life-changing. You have to read it. Bryan Stevenson is a lawyer, and he was representing inmates on death row, and he's talking about civil rights, and he's talking about abuse in the justice system, and it is just so powerful. I think that everyone has to read this, and like it should actually probably be required reading. But if you haven't read it already, please check it out, because I haven't looked at the Goodreads Choice Awards yet. I don't think this came out this year, but I'm gonna try to look at previous years. And if this wasn't on the list for the Goodreads Choice Awards the year that this came out, I'm gonna be highly upset. I do need to watch the Netflix adaptation, I think it is, with Michael B. Jordan. And I'm preparing myself to cry because it was so good, and it's so moving, and it's so relevant to what's happening in the world right now. And I mean, if this book doesn't hit you on a deeper level, I don't know what will. But please, if there's any book out of this whole wrap-up that you choose to read, please read this one. Pretty please. Also, I read volumes 1 and 2 of Tokyo Ghoul Re, and this is the beginning of the second season of the manga of Tokyo Ghoul. In case you don't already know, The Tokyo Ghoul comparison video that I did on my channel is my most successful video, and I've been working for a while on coming out with a part 2 to that video, to comparing the anime to the second season. But with everything else that's been going on, it's just been taking me so long, so I'm not going to talk too much about it here because I'm in the progress of reading the last couple volumes of Tokyo Ghoul and then working on that comparison video. But I will say that season 2 is not living up to season 1. But that's okay because it's a continuation, and who knows, maybe it'll get different. So far it's kind of really following the anime, but that's okay. So hopefully, I suggest if you're interested in learning more about Tokyo Ghoul, check out the video that's on my channel, and also the live show that I did with the host club, which is the anime book club that I'm in, because this was our October pick of the month. So thank you so much, you guys, for watching my wrap up. I hope that you enjoyed this. I try to give everyone a new location every time I do a wrap-up video. If there's any place in particular you'd like to think of in the greater Northeast American area, let me know. It's becoming such like a fun thing for me to do. I'm sorry that I haven't done a wrap-up in such a long time, but I promise I will try to get an October wrap-up to you very soon. And if you're still interested in being part of any book clubs that I'm in, the links for both the sci-fi book club and the manga book club, the interstellar book club, and the host club are in the description below. We have Discords where you can come and talk to us about books. I post videos every Wednesday and Saturday, so see you next time, guys. Bye!